We only have a few seconds left before service starts, but take a moment and fill out that Connect card in the seat back pocket in front of you. Filling it out helps you stay connected with all the latest church updates, and it also helps you discover what your next steps are, whether that's baptism, serving, salvation, a prayer request, or even just updating your contact information. Once you've filled out the Connect card, you can just drop it in an offering bucket or in the black boxes in the back of the sanctuary. Regardless of your next steps, we're excited about the new beginnings that await you here at Genesis.
Hey guys, welcome to a very special live event here on Facebook. And as I told you last Sunday, I wanted to take a few minutes of your time and just kind of introduce you guys to our newest Genesis family member, a new part of our team here, our brand new worship pastor, Mr. Garret Zerker. And so Garret, we're super stoked to have you join the crew and just become a part of this journey with us. And like I said, I wanted just to give the church an opportunity to be able to learn a little bit more about you before you actually hit the ground running. You know, we're, here in July. Obviously, this is not live pre-recorded, but Garrett's got a little bit of a busy summer before he hits things shared line. So, but wanted to give everybody an opportunity just to kind of learn a little bit more about you. So why don't you talk a little bit about your background, where you grew up, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Newton, Kansas. If you don't know where that is, Wichita, I just go like 40 minutes north. That's where I grew up, and I was raised in actually a similar sized church to Genesis, and so I'm very familiar with kind of this size of a church. And yeah, I grew up there, played sports, went to high school, and then let's see. Yeah, and then I eventually went to college for 2 years, and then God called me away and eventually called me to Springfield, Missouri, where I was the associate worship leader, essentially for students in college. And then on Sundays, I would play electric guitar. Sometimes I would sing a song, and just kind of depended on what the needs were at that point. And so, yeah, I was there in Springfield, Missouri for about 4 years, and now I'm coming down here to, and I'm super excited to be a part of Genesis. I think I love what y'all do, and I love I want to come alongside y'all and help y'all to just grow and continue to worship Jesus. Yeah, but we'll definitely dive into some of that stuff. But talk a little bit about, kind of what you enjoy. Some of the hobbies, things that because I know, this year you went on some pretty cool adventures. You love outdoor type stuff and everything, but kind of paint a little bit of picture of kind of what drives you, and just from an enjoyment of life standpoint. Yeah. I like to have fun, I guess. And so anything that revolves around that, whether it's like playing sports, I'm fairly athletic. like most sports, like basketball. I'm a big disc golfer. And so if you want to play disc golf, let's go. And then I play golf as well. And really anything I can get my competitiveness out is always a good avenue. I love board games. And obviously playing guitar is a huge passion of mine. But then also I love being outside, going on hikes. I love camping. Me and my buddies at my last church, we do a week-long camping trip with disc golf. And so we play 2 courses a day, and then go find a camp spot and camp, and then repeat that the next day until we make a full circle around, a couple of different states and things. Hunting is something I'm starting to get into. Hoping we can start that going even more. Music, I love music, country music and Christian music. Those are the best two, I think. Obviously Christians first, of course, where it should be. And then, hanging out, I love people, and so interacting with people and getting to know them and stuff like that. And then, of course, I always love eating food. Spicier is better, is what I say. And so yeah, those are definitely some things that I like.
Yeah. So definitely a lot of things that just on a personal level just kind of drew me toward you, just on a personal level. And just consider this your formal invitation to a hunting camping trip with me and a few other guys here coming up end of October, 1st of November. So
I'll definitely be
throwing that out.
Yes, yeah.
And so let's talk a little bit about just your faith journey. You growing up in Kansas, feeling called in ministry. Talk about, kind of when your relationship with Jesus started. Talk about how maybe even some people that were instrumental in that faith process with you.
Definitely. Yeah, I mentioned before, I grew up going to church, in a church that's fairly similar to here. And I think I gave my life to Christ when I was young, but I didn't really know what that meant. I didn't know, what all comes along with a relationship with Christ. And I really would say there was no relationship. And so I was definitely a prideful, angry little boy for a long time until my sophomore year of high school is really when I got involved with the youth, and I made some friends. And then my youth pastor was super instrumental in my walk with Christ. I remember we went to a summer camp type of a thing, and just God broke my heart during one of the worship sessions, and my youth pastor wrote me this note that just really this is exactly what I needed to hear. And so then from then on, I just continued to grow. What is it in my relationship? I actually had a relationship with Jesus, then it continued to grow. What does that mean? And then when the time came for my senior year, I knew I wasn't going to be have a regular job, and I wanted to go into ministry of some sort. I just didn't know what that looked like, and so went to college and was trying to figure out what that looked like. Well, I went to summer camp and started going to summer camp, and I loved it. I was a camp counselor to 4th to 6th grade boys, and they'll keep you on your toes for sure. But I loved them, and then I went back the next summer after my sophomore year of college, and then I ended up staying there, then working part-time there. And then they shut down for the winter, so I moved back home, and I was like, I love camp ministry. How can I do this full-time? So ended up finding a job at Sky Ranch in Oklahoma, and continued on that journey until COVID hit. And then, of course, I got let go there. And then I moved back to my home church in Kansas, where they needed a youth pastor. And so I was the interim youth pastor for a year. I did the teaching and the worship and the games and stuff like that. Realized I'm not the best with my words at teaching. I love the Bible. I love to try to teach it, but I just don't have that gift. But worship was really where you could tell I was more apt towards it. God has started to bless me in that area. And so my buddy was like, hey, you should join a worship team. And just really felt like God was just molding and shaping the direction of my life, and also calling me to worship leading. And so then from then on, I joined this thing called Presence Worship. It's kind of a worship residency program. Really just what does it mean to be a worship leader? How should your heart be postured? What does it look like to interact with the team? And just God just started shaping me and molding me, and my view of worship, which is not just music. Worship is what we do through our whole beings, really. And so just to see God take me from this angry little boy to a person who wants to know Jesus and has a passion for that and help lead others. I really have a passion for youth as well, and because that's where my life has changed. I know because my youth pastor poured into me a lot, and then also my worship pastor poured into me a lot, especially that year of me doing the interim youth pastor work. I met with our worship leader and our lead pastor, and they were both my mentors, and I couldn't have asked for a better year of growth spiritually. They just invested so much into me, taught me all that they knew, and still have a lot to learn, but it's crazy to see how God's worked in my life.
Yeah. Well, let's dive into some of those other ministry passions a little bit, because obviously, you're joining the team as a worship pastor, but there's two things in conversations that you and I have had over the last several months that are kind of passions to B and to C to me. That one, you mentioned youth, young adults, college age, talked a lot about that, but you also have talked about discipleship a lot, which is a big passion of mine. And some of the things that you even currently do as far as meeting with people that you disciple and people that have discipled you over time. Talk a little bit about those two passions and what is it about those things that really kind of drive you.
Yeah, definitely youth. I like to consider myself, I have good energy, and so I can keep up with
at least
I'm still the young guy for now, and so I can keep up with them mostly. And I love to just play games with them, and they want, especially I'm drawn towards high school men, and so just I knew where I was at that point in life. I wanted somebody to look up to. I wanted somebody that would older than me, that would care about me and want to invest in my life. And so I was so grateful I did have that. And so if it doesn't have to be me, but if somebody could be in that role for these upcoming generations, it might as well be me. Yeah. And so I definitely am passionate about that. I definitely there's four or five boys that I really took to me, and I took to them at my previous church, and just got to live life with them, to this kind of just this, what does it mean to be a disciple of Jesus? How can you follow Jesus in this culture and still be a man? And what is in balancing all those different things? Not that I haven't figured out, but if I can provide anything is godly wisdom, I'm going to try to do that as best I can. And so, and I think everybody needs a mentor. I think everybody needs somebody else with more wisdom pouring into them. And so I'm definitely passionate about that. I'm definitely passionate about, disciples. That's what we're called to do. And so, I don't know. That's huge for me. You mentioned your previous church a couple of times, which for those who don't know, Second Baptist Church there in Springfield, and you've been there for 4 years, give or take a few months. And I know you've had just an incredible experience there. You have a great team that you've worked with. You have leadership that you look up to and you respect. And in that 4-year span, what did that experience do in you? What did you learn from that experience? And what, maybe even think about it from the concept of things that, these are some things that really helped me grow there that I get to bring here. Yeah, I definitely think, as a new worship leader, when I started there, I was only been leading worship for maybe a year. Just getting to experience and leading a band, and what does that look like? And I don't have a huge musical background, but how do I, help my team to play and lead as best as they can? And so when I came to Second, they didn't have they had one student serving in the youth worship team and a couple college students serving. And so one of my biggest pushes was, and it was a push for me too, was to how do I build a team of students to lead students and college to lead college. And it took me a little bit to get the ball rolling on that. But after about a year and a half, I had all students and me leading students, and then I had all college leading college. And so it was really cool to get to learn how to recruit for a worship team and how to instruct them and how to you can be a part of the worship team. You don't have, it's not like they're a worship team, they're above everybody else. No, we're all just people serving Jesus. And so that was really instrumental just in my leadership. And I would say leadership in general just was a huge God pushed me in that area, especially at Second. And so I came in with not a lot of opportunities to lead in that area. And now I feel much more confident. I think confidence in Jesus is one of the biggest things in leading worship. I think if you're not, like, nobody wants to follow somebody who's shy about Jesus. Like, they want somebody who's bold and wants to proclaim Jesus' name. And hopefully I've learned that. And I want to take that and implement it. And then just like, leading a congregation, talking in between songs, the kind of the flow of the worship. How do you want it to go? I've learned a lot in like building a worship set, and it's not just like picking my favorite songs. It's how these songs go together. How do they mesh? At least in my opinion, how do I mesh? How do I mesh with what you're preaching about? How can they go together? Because sometimes, like, you may not remember everything that you're saying, but a lyric from a song can help you recall those things. And so how can they go in tandem like that? Just a lot of things like that. I'm not the most organized person, but working this last 4 years, it has helped me become more organized.
Yeah.
I still got a long way to go. Yeah. But we're getting there. So just growing in a lot.
Speed your flexible.
That's right. I'm very flexible. That's true. I've grown in a lot of areas. Just in, like, even having tough conversations in the church. Like, church is not always, roses. Yeah. There's hard things. There's tough conversations. There's things we need to deal with. And I've had to deal with some of those things. And that's been, not my most desired thing, but it's been really good for me to learn how to deal with those situations and how to deal with them properly with God's word and the things like that.
On that end, I didn't even tell you I was going to ask this question. I wasn't planning on it until that. But just some of the things that you said there kind of sparked a thought in me. It's like a lot of times people, they think of a worship pastor. They see what happens on Sunday morning. They see that person standing up there and leading songs. And there's, and you even touched on a little bit what you just said, there's so much more that goes into that role than what people will see on Sunday morning. And so when you think about your role as a worship pastor, beyond a person standing on stage that's singing a song, right? Mm-hmm. Describe what you feel a worship pastor is. Like, what are the things that you feel, the intangibles of what a worship pastor does within the context of a church?
Yeah.
Let's feel. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I'll start with the stage. I think this is like a picture that was said to me early on in my worship leading, and I really love it. And it's really formed my thought process on it, on stage worship leading. And so, say you go to a zoo and you have a tour guide, and he's telling you all about these animals, and he's telling you all about how they eat and how they do life. And if he's doing a good job, then you walk away saying, that animal is awesome. And I think a lot, just like a tour guide at the zoo would do that for the animals, it's kind of like what a worship leader is trying to do for God. At the end of the tour, you're not saying, oh, that tour guide was awesome. You say, those animals are awesome. I hope that's how I lead, or how everybody leads worship, is like, wow, that worship leader really helped me connect with God. Like, he really showed off God and all his grandeur and his glory. And so in terms of that's, I guess, my heart on stage, is like, how can I show God off in the best light and give him the glory? And so, but along goes with that, prepping all the things. And so, how are you picking the songs? Or I like to pick thematically. Let's have the songs try to say the similar things that's also going with the message. I try to do that as much as I can. Obviously, it doesn't work perfect every time. And then picking the keys to the songs and making sure they're singable. And, first of all, evaluating the song also. Is this song go with Scripture? Could I be singing this to my wife and you'd never know I'm singing this to God?
I've always had this thought process of, if I can take the word Jesus out and put the word baby in and it work, it's probably not one I want to do.
Right. I agree with that. And I think there's power in singing the name of Jesus and singing the different names of Jesus. So I always want to sing songs that talk about Jesus like that.
Yeah.
Too.
Oh, yeah.
And then obviously like getting chords and everything ready like that. And then I think a lot of a worship leader's job is being relational. You know, they don't want to see you just up there on Sundays. They want to know you and know your heart. And if I know the congregation's heart, then I can help with the song picking and help lead them in better ways. And so I mean, relationships is a huge deal in the worship leading, just because like, you're like, I don't even know this guy, he's leading worship. But when you know and have that connection, you're like, I can see their heart and I can see how they love Jesus. And that makes me want to worship harder.
Yeah.
And so definitely relationally, obviously, you got other things like meetings and service projects. And I like to have lunch, and I eat every day. So if I eat with somebody else, we'll have a conversation. So, having lunch with people is super good. And then like a big part is like, you have to know, at least in worship leading, I think you have to know your instrument so that it's not a distracting factor in your worship to Jesus. Because if I'm too concerned about playing the right thing, then I'm not going to think about worshiping Jesus. I'm just going to be concerned about playing the right thing. So I have to practice enough so that I'm comfortable, so that I don't have to think about it that often. So I can really focus on worshiping and having the Spirit lead and what I should say next, or how we should transition or do things like that. I definitely want to be well practiced so that I don't have to worry about that being a stumbling block or hindering me. Because like when you're up on the platform, there's no like lying. Like people see right through you. If you're having a bad day, or if you're just really not feeling like worshiping, people can tell. And so I definitely think you have to prep your heart. You have to prep your mind, and prep your skills, just to accomplish those things. And so, because like I'm not going to deceive any of you if I'm having a bad day or if I'm not feeling worshipful. Like I have to come in and I got to prepare myself, and I got to be in the right headspace to worship Jesus. And I think that comes from spending time with him in the secret place, reading his word, and being encouraged to have accountability too. And so all those things play into my prep for Sundays. It's not just get up there and sing.
Yeah.
And so there's probably more, but that I'm not.
That's good. A lot of people, they get, when it comes to worship teams, worship leaders, and, some people, especially younger ones, they get into this performance mindset. Mm-hmm. If that's all that it is, you're falling way short of the calling. It's like, it truly is. You're not just a worship leader, you're a lead worshiper. It's like to have that mindset of, I'm being an example of what worship on Sunday morning actually looks like. And I know that's where your headspace is. Let's talk about, I don't want to have the video be crazy long, but you and I could sit and talk for 2 hours, and I don't know if everybody else would like to watch us do that. But when we talk about this transition, because this relationship really started 6 months ago. It's probably close to ish. And talk about how you first heard about this opportunity and what drew you for this to be something that you're like, I want to pray about and figure out, is this what God wants for me? Mm-hmm. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely think it started almost a year ago in my heart. Mm-hmm. Like I just really felt like, as the worship associate, it was great prep time, but the Lord was just like, all right, you're like, these people that in your life that you're discipling they're almost all graduated and moved on. And so I didn't feel as connected there. And I really feel like God was like starting to put this like unsettledness on me, and just like what's next. Obviously, I have a girlfriend named Kirsten. She's awesome. Some people know her as not Mrs. yet, but Miss P. Yeah, sorry, Miss P. No, she teaches high school at West Plains, and so I'm just super excited to be closer to her and not have to drive 2 hours every weekend. So that'll be super nice. So that was obviously in the thought process as well, as we become more serious. And then, just like she sent me the Facebook post, and I was like, well, I guess there's no sense in not reaching out. So I sent a message, and we emailed a little bit back and forth and had a phone call. And I actually had come to y'all's parades one time, and I remember this church was handing out little New Testaments, and that was y'all, wasn't it?
We were part of that.
Yeah. And I remember thinking, that's an awesome thing to do. And so I don't know. Yeah, that was just to hear that y'all were a part of that. I was like, yeah, that's good. But yeah, and then just as I talked more, got to feel the church, and we talked through everything. I talked it through with my mentors, and I called my old worship leader, and I called my old worship pastor, and just really ran it through every. Obviously, I prayed a bunch, ran it through every alley of connection I could. Even talking with my old boss that where we were super close. And he was like, yeah, Garrett, I really think this is a good thing for you, even though I don't want you to go. And so, it just felt right. The timing was right. Hopefully I'll have a house by the time this video started, right? Or a place to stay. I still have to figure out that. But, the Lord's just been lining things up. Yeah. And just really felt like this was the place. And then I came and led worship at a youth retreat for endurance. And just God was like, yeah, these people of West Plains need, like, he broke my heart for them. Yeah. Whether that's endurance or Genesis, it doesn't matter. Like, I can minister to everyone, like, not to everyone, but I can be involved in, and then just, like, God's not confined to one church. We're all here. And so either way, I really felt like God was calling me to West Plains, and to the people of West Plains. And so decided to take a step out, and hopefully this is the right deal.
I feel super confident about it, because it's like in our interactions together, certainly I think on a personal level, there's a lot of great things that you and I get to connect in. And for me, I've always felt like it's important for, the senior pastor to have just a kinship, with the worship pastor, to be able to develop that kind of friendship, that goes beyond just working. And I want that with everybody, but I think it's particularly important when it comes to the relationship between the senior pastor and the worship pastor. And mainly because, the two of us will work so closely together, really painting a full picture on Sunday morning when it comes to the Word of God. And that's one of the things that I love about the process of just getting to know you over the course of the months, and just knowing that connection was kind of there with us. The other piece was, when you got to come in and be a guest worship leader here, and just, getting does he feel like part of the family? Does he feel like he's part of what God wants for us as a church as a whole? And that was the biggest thing that you got to come in. That was one of the things that I walked away. It's just like, he just feels good. He feels good with that team. He feels good on that stage, and certainly personal level feels good. And so, like, when you got to come in and lead worship, and there's several people that probably put two and two together, that you're going to be a candidate at the very least. Mm-hmm. Some of them may have just thought, it's just a new guy. I don't know how they felt, but when you were, interacting with the team and just that process, kind of what was going through your mind that day in preparation for making the decision whether or not to come here?
Yeah, I was just seeing kind of what the team atmosphere looks like, the dynamic, and of course how y'all run everything. And but I definitely I love the space. I think y'all do a really great job with what God's given you. And then the team, just saw the heart for worship there. Definitely want to. I just saw how I could add towards it as well. I have my own kind of things I would already want to bring in, and that God's already laid on my heart. Wherever I'm going, I'm going to bring. I do a worship covenant thing just to keep the worship team accountable to each other and me accountable to them, and just so that way we can best support each other. And so I already have things I want to start implementing over time at least. And so I'm excited to do that, and just to just really get to do life with them. I think having good leaders on stage, where I always say, when I'm auditioning people, you're going to be a leader, and so you're going to be representing not only yourself, but you're representing Christ, and you're going to represent the church as well. And so I always think that's a huge thing, and I think something I'm excited to get to do, and to be pushed my own self. I don't know a whole lot of sound things, and so but you already have all the things that I would want to implement. You have the lower thirds and the live camera and sound mixers and video switchers and all the things. Y'all are doing an awesome job at, and so I'm super pumped about that, and just want to keep just join in on it, and hopefully keep us moving forward. And and that definitely want to get a feel for it more as that through the weeks coming. But not only that, but how can we push it to be best and better? And I definitely don't want to stay content, but I also want to find a middle ground of because how much new stuff is just going to turn people off or be distracting or anything like that. But just finding that middle ground, I think. So I'm super pumped from even just that one Sunday to be with y'all and to see how y'all worship Jesus. And I think there's a million ways we can worship Jesus. And so just to see this, I definitely think I would fit right in with what y'all got going on. So
no question. So guys, thank you all for taking time, just spend this time with us and getting to know Garret a little bit. And there's going to be more to come. August the 10th, I believe, is going to be the first Sunday that you're going to be on stage as our new worship pastor. And so we're looking forward to that. And, I just personally, I'm just looking forward to doing life with you. I already love you. And I'm just so excited to be able to share moments with you. And it's going to be awesome. But so you guys get excited too. Make sure that you're already praying for Garret, praying for Kirsten, and as they really just start plugging into this church family and just joining the mission that God has for us. So it's going to be some exciting times, and we're just looking forward to getting this journey started. But all right. So guys, y'all take care, and we will see you real soon.